Hello everybody, this is my WrestleMania 26 review, and this event, I don't know what to say about it. There was some really good stuff, there was some really bad stuff, but overall I'll just say I liked it. I thought the really good stuff really outweighed the bad stuff, and I'll get into that when I go into the review, which I'll do now. The first matchup was Showmiz, the Big Show and Miz, defending the unified WWE Tag Team titles against John Morrison and R-Truth. Now, I knew this match was never going to get a chance anywhere on the card. I thought Money in the Bank would have gone first, but this match went first, and it was really just a nothing match. There was nothing to it. There were some nice spots, but it was like 5 minutes long, ended. That was it. 2 stars for it. There's not much to say about it, really. And the result was exactly as I expected. The actual match itself was exactly how I expected it, so it was kind of just on par with my expectations. Next, we had Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes versus Ted DiBiase. Now, this match, Orton got a lot of a strong crowd reaction, but whenever Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes started wrestling, which was not long into the match, the crowd would kind of just die off and didn't care. I thought it was a bit better than your average triple threat match. I felt the first few minutes of it were a bit boring because there was no actual moves happening. They were just kind of punching each other and stomping Randy Orton. That got a lot of heat from the crowd, but the match kind of picked up, got a lot better. Cody Rhodes took a punt kick at the end of it, and Ted DiBiase got the $1 Million Dream locked in, and he was about to go for the slam. Randy Orton reversed into the RKO. It was okay. It was I'll give it 2 3/4. I liked it. I thought it was alright. It was better than what I thought it would be, because going into it, I had no interest in the match whatsoever. Next, we had the Money in the Bank match. Now, this match was really good. At the start, it wasn't not too much was happening, but it really picked up. There were some really cool spots in it. I didn't expect Matt Hardy to take a bump off a ladder onto the scaffold ladder setup. Kofi Kingston using 2 halves of a ladder as stilts, like the ladder broke in 2, and Kofi Kingston was using it as stilts. That was really fucking amazing. Evan Bourne took some pretty good bumps. A lot of people thought Christian was going to win this. I knew this was never going to be the case. Some people thought Drew McIntyre. I was, nah. But one person I was speaking to on the internet said, "Oh, Jack Swagger has no chance." He even laughed at the idea. Jack Swagger won, and it was quite unpredictable, and that's one of the reasons I liked this Money in the Bank ladder match. Usually you can you have an idea of who's going to win it. Jack Swagger was kind of in the back of everyone's mind, and now he's won it, and I like that. 4 stars, and I think he's someone who could really be a good main eventer. So yeah, 4 stars for that. Next we had Triple H versus Sheamus. For whatever reason, the crowd was really hot for this. I thought the build for this was rather average, but when the match started, it was kind of boring, but the crowd was hot for whatever reason. It didn't go too long, but it did pick up, and it got pretty good, and at some points I felt like Sheamus was going to win. Other than that, I thought it was just, it was as good as I expected it to be in terms of in-ring quality, but it was a lot further down on the card than I thought it was be. I thought it was going to be a lot later, but no, it was here. So 3 stars for that match. Sheamus looked good, but he wasn't really put over. I thought he was going to get put over by Triple H the way they'd been building the match, but he wasn't. So that's a bit sad, but still, I like the match itself, and I thought Sheamus did look good, and probably one of Sheamus's better matches for the length it was given and all that. Next, we had Rey Mysterio and CM Punk. Oh, Rey Mysterio, why do you have to do this to me? He always comes out dressed as like whatever well, not always, but like last year WrestleMania, or maybe it was the year before that, he came out dressed as the Joker, handing candies to kids to try to get them in his van. Now he came out dressed as Avatar Man, the Jake Sully from Avatar. I don't know, one of the Na'vi from Avatar. I don't know why he has to do that. He looked like Ultimo Dragon. The match itself was really good. I thought it was a bit shorter than I expected, but it was really good. Punk and Mysterio worked very well together. Rey Mysterio popped some things out of his bag of tricks that I haven't seen before, at least by him. And Punk, he just worked really well with Mysterio. And obviously the program's going to continue, but I still flipped my shit when Punk lost. The crowd wasn't what I thought it would be, but having the build from SmackDown was so good that this match was probably the match I was looking forward to the second most. And so I really love Punk as worker, so when he lost, I flipped out. My friend who was there called me a mark. I just told him to fuck off. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed in the outcome, but I understand why they're going to be continuing the feud, most likely. But yeah, next matchup, we had Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon in a no-holds-barred lumberjack match. Vince McMahon brought out the Hart family, and I thought, oh yeah, they're going to actually make it look like Bret is going to get fucked over here, because the whole build, it was just Bret constantly getting the upper hand, well, except for the car accident, but eventually it turned out Bret always had Vince screwed, so to speak. And then, Vince brings out his family, and he said, I paid him off, and then it turns out, nope, they're on Bret's side. So Vince gave them all money, and now he's going to get screwed anyway. This, you could barely even call this... Oh, and the CM Punk Rey Mysterio match was 3.5 stars. Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon, it was barely a match. It was more like an angle, because it just had Bret beating on Vince, and his family beating on Vince for, like, 10 minutes. I knew Bret couldn't take back bumps, but I didn't expect it to just be him dropping an elbow and him doing the sharpshooter and him breaking a chair over Vince, or bending a chair over Vince McMahon. He was really laying into him. So I'll just give this a not applicable, an NA, because it wasn't a match. The crowd wasn't there until the very end, and it's probably because it never resembled a match. There was no wrestling, there was no back and forth. It was just them all beating down Vince McMahon. And while Shawn did that at Wrestlemania a few years back, there was the odds were stacked against Shawn in that case. So because you had Shane McMahon and all that, and then Shawn had been constantly getting screwed up until the WrestleMania, and then he got his revenge. This one, it was just Bret destroying it. So there was no heat for it. There was no... And a lot of people didn't care about Montreal anymore. I was looking forward to the match quite a lot, just to see what Bret could do, and it clearly wasn't much. So, yeah, not applicable. Chris Jericho versus Edge. I'm glad this wasn't the main event, but that's not saying it was a bad match. I thought it was a good match. The build for it had been terrible. The whole spear thing... Didn't care for it at all. But it came into play for when Edge was looking to go for the spear, the crowd started to go nuts because they knew, with the build, that if Edge hits the spear, the match is going to end. But the ending of the match, well, the match itself I really liked. They did some good back and forth stuff. The match ended with Chris Jericho hitting Edge with the title belt. Went for the pin, Edge kicked out. So then he just hit him with his finisher and pinned him. So it kind of just overshadowed the fact that he used a belt in the match, so it kind of didn't make sense to me. But I guess I'll give the match 3 3/4 stars. Edge then speared Jericho off from one announce, or running across the announce table, speared him off, and he went through the thing, and Matt Striker went spear, much like Paulie Heyman went gore. Next we had a Divas match. I like women, I like wrestling, I don't like divas in the WWE. So this match was full of... There was more botches on this match than there was on the rest of the card. There was more botches in this match than there were moves that were done well. That's all I have to say about that. So, 1/4 star, because there was some things done in it. Beth Phoenix. John Cena versus Batista. Now, I wasn't looking forward to this as much as other people were because they had a previously good match, but this match turned out really good. It was shorter, but the crowd was hot for everything they did. John Cena looked good. Batista got a lot of heat. John Cena actually, at one point, did an FU reversal, like he was holding Batista, and then he flipped him up onto his head, and then when he, like, just deadlifting him onto his shoulders to do the FU, then did the FU and threw him across the ring. And that was kind of the whole match. It was just really good. Big spot. And that's what they need to do because they're not very good in the ring. There was a botch at the start where Batista spiked John Cena's head, but yeah, as I said, there was that really good FU where he just threw Batista fucking miles. And then I thought that should have been the finish, but it wasn't. He had to do the STFU. And that was the finish. 3 3/4 stars for that. Then we had The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels in the match I was looking forward to the most. And I'm glad this went on in the main event. It was amazing. I mean, this was better than last year's match. I can't go through the spots, but the story was Shawn was working over Undertaker's knee, and everything was perfect. He was working over the knee constantly. Undertaker stole the knee perfectly. You know, in a more cliche kind of pro wrestling kind of way. Shawn Michaels even did a moonsault onto the knee from the turnbuckle onto the announce table. The whole no count out, no DQ stipulation never came into it, but it still doesn't affect it negatively. It just worked. Everything just fit together perfectly, and the finish was. In this match last year, I never believed Shawn would win. This year, I did believe Shawn would win. I believed Shawn could win, not would. But at the end of it, when you kind of realise that Taker's going to win, there was one last bit of hope where when Undertaker went like that, went no, get up, stay down. Shawn still got up, smacked him, tombstone, and it was an amazing looking tombstone pin. And then it was very emotional. Everyone was crying. Shawn walked out. It was much like the Ric Flair retirement, not in terms of build for the storyline, but in terms of the finish. 5 stars for it. And for the show as a whole, because I'm running out of time, 8 out of 10. Good stuff, bad stuff. I still recommend it. It's really great.